There's a pain that most men will never speak of out loud. It's not the loss of the relationship, it's the quiet betrayal. That gnawing gut feeling that something isn't right with the woman you loved, and not knowing whether to trust her or trust yourself. Pain hits different when you didn't see it coming, when the woman you gave your all to, the one you protected, dreamt with, made plans for, is entertaining someone else behind your back. Let me say this clearly, a woman who cheats always leaves signs, but not the obvious ones that movies and memes make fun of. No, the ones that leave you second, guessing your sanity, the subtle shifts in affection, the moments when her presence feels loud, but her love feels quiet. The nights when her phone becomes her best friend and her lips suddenly foreign. You might think you're paranoid, that you're overthinking, gaslighting yourself into believing you're simply too emotional. But men, let me be the voice that silences that doubt. You are not crazy, and today we're going to break down what cheating really looks like, not just in her actions, but in the energy, the silence, and the emotional distance. Because deep down you already know the truth. Let's talk about it. Sometimes the most painful kind of betrayal isn't the screaming the name, calling, or even catching her red-handed in the arms of another man. The most painful betrayal is the silence, the still, slow drift of someone who used to love you, but no longer does, and is too far gone to say it out loud. Have you ever sat next to someone you used to laugh with, dream with, build with, and felt like you're sitting next to a stranger? She's there, physically, but she's not present. Her body comes home, but her spirit lingers somewhere else. She asks you how your day was, but it feels scripted. She hugs you, but it lacks warmth, the passion, the sparkle in her eye when she looked at you. It's gone, replaced by indifference, and you feel it, even if you pretend not to. You feel the way she moves a little further away each night in bed. You feel the pause after you say, "I love you." You feel her scrolling on her phone past midnight, barely noticing you're by her side. A woman doesn't have to say she's cheating with her mouth. Her absence speaks louder than words ever could. A woman's heart is her anchor, and when her heart finds a new harbor, even if her body is still under your roof, you will feel the shift. That, my brother, is what most men ignore. You rationalize it. You say she's just tired, stressed, overworked. She's going through something, you tell yourself, but that's your hope talking. That's your fear trying to protect you. Fear of what it would mean if you admitted the truth you already feel in the pit of your stomach. When a woman checks out emotionally, it's not usually loud. Women are masters at managing emotions, sometimes too well. So she might still get intimate from time to time. She might still laugh at your jokes, but it's different. It's not spontaneous anymore. It's effortful, calculated. Like she's playing the role of your woman instead of truly being your woman, and the moment you bring it up, the moment you dare to ask if something's wrong, she gets defensive. Upset, she flips it back on you. You're being emotional. You're overreacting. Let me tell you something. Emotional manipulation is the armor people wear when they know you're getting too close to the truth. So instead of listening to that whisper inside, you quiet it down, you question yourself. But here's the truth most men don't want to accept. Her pull, away, her distance, it's not accidental. It's intentional, maybe not consciously, but emotionally. She's already packed her bags. If you feel that she's present, but not really there, don't wait for her to leave physically before you accept she's already gone. Pay attention. When love goes quiet, when energy shifts without reason, when her affection disappears, that's not confusion. That's clarity, and it hurts, yes, but ignoring it will hurt more. When a woman starts cheating, one of the first signs isn't always emotional, it's behavioral. It happens in her routine. In the little things that used to be predictable, suddenly becoming cloudy, vague, and confusing. She used to text you good morning without fail. Now, hours go by before she remembers to say hello, if she even does. She used to call you during her lunch break like clockwork. Now, her breaks are too busy. and somehow her schedule doesn't have space for you anymore. See, human beings are creatures of habit. We build patterns around who and what we love, and when a woman truly cares for you, you're in her rhythm. She carves out time not because she has to, but because she wants to. So when her routine suddenly changes, when work meetings become more frequent late, night obligations appear out of nowhere, or she starts taking mysterious fitness classes or girls' nights that never seem to include you, you need to pause. Not panic, but pause, because where there used to be clarity, now there's only fog. And make no mistake, she will always have an explanation. That's part of the confusion, part of what makes you question your own judgment. The stories might make sense on paper, but they don't match the energy. The stories just feel off, and deep down that disconnect eats at you because you remember who she used to be. How open she was, how freely she used to share details about her day, but now conversations feel shallow. When you ask where she was, there's a delay before she answers, a hesitation, a silence that wasn't there before. What you need to know is this: cheating isn't always physical first, it's logistical, it's ideological. It starts in her calendar before it ever makes it to her body. She starts creating space in her life where you don't belong. And it hurts because part of you wants to believe the best. You want to give her the benefit of the doubt. I understand that. But here's the thing, if everything suddenly becomes more important than you, if her schedule starts to feel like you're intruding on her time instead of being part of it, that's not love growing. That's love withdrawing. No man should have to beg for time. No man should have to chase the consistency she once freely gave. And don't let her accuse you of being insecure for noticing these shifts. You're not paranoid, you're observant. You care, you're paying attention to patterns, and that's what emotionally intelligent men do. Because the truth is, time is not just about minutes and hours, it's about priority. When a woman stops making time for you, it's not just a scheduling issue, it's an emotional decision. So watch the patterns, watch the changes, and most importantly, watch what she no longer gives you without asking. That's where the truth lives quietly until you're bold enough to face it. You want to know when something is really off in your relationship? Watch how she treats her phone when you're around, and I don't mean just checking it here and there. I mean how she clutches it like her life depends on it. How it's never out of her sight, not even for a second. How she'll turn it face down the moment she places it on a table. How the brightness is suddenly turned all the way down, and passwords now protect things that used to be open between you two. A woman who is at peace with nothing to hide moves freely. Her energy is calm. Her phone is just a phone, not a vault. You don't feel awkward when it buzzes. You don't suddenly get panicked glances when you pick it up to hand it to her. But when a woman is entertaining other attention when she's cheating, that phone becomes a barrier. Not just between you and her, but between who she pretends to be and who she's really becoming. Think about it. You used to sit next to her, and she'd scroll through Instagram, laugh, and show you a meme. She'd get a message, open it freely, even read it out loud sometimes. It wasn't a big deal because transparency was natural, but now it's different. Now she angles her phone away when she types. She got suddenly spiritual about boundaries. I need my space. Not everything has to be shared, but ask yourself why now. Why has privacy become her fallback after all this time? When a woman cheats, the phone tells the story long before her lips ever admit it. Look at the late-night messages that she says are just friends. Look at how a notification from some guy named Mike from work suddenly makes her nervous if you're sitting too close. Look at how, when her phone rings and you glance over, she flips it over like she's trying to guard it with her life. And maybe you've confronted her about it. Maybe you've already had the conversation, and she got mad, turned it around on you, told you, "Why don't you trust me?" Or worse, "You're being control. Stop being insecure." Let me tell you something. Insecurity is when you doubt your own worth without evidence. But what you're feeling, it's not insecurity, it's instinct. It's your spirit telling you something is off. It's your energy picking up on the disconnect between her actions and her words. And maybe the hardest part isn't that she's guarding her phone, it's that you know why. But you're still hoping you're wrong. My brother, I understand. I know what it means to fight the truth that's slapping you in the face silently every day. But if you have to compete with a screen, with strangers in her messages, with hidden texts that she swears are harmless, then the truth is you're already sharing her. Maybe not with her body, but definitely with her attention, with her loyalty, with her secrets, and deep down you already know that. You know something's changed when the woman who once used to compliment you for the smallest things suddenly finds fault in everything you do. It's in how your voice becomes too loud, how your jokes are not funny anymore, how your dreams become unrealistic, and your style, the same style she used to admire, is now immature. You feel like you can't do anything right, like you've become a burden to someone you're still trying to love. Listen carefully. When a woman begins criticizing you constantly, it's rarely just about you. It's often about her. How she's pulling away emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and instead of owning up to her detachment, it's easier for her to create distance through fault-finding. She picks at everything you do, not because you're wrong, but because she's searching for reasons to justify what she's already emotionally decided in her heart. Criticism becomes an armor, a defense mechanism, because deep down she knows she's disengaging. She knows she's accessing attention from somewhere else, from someone else. And in her mind, planting seeds of dissatisfaction about you helps ease the guilt. He's just not attentive enough. We don't connect like we used to. Instead of sitting in the discomfort of her actions, she paints a story where you are the problem. And slowly she starts believing it. At first, you try harder, you adjust, you change the way you speak, you give her more space. You start walking on eggshells just to keep the peace, hoping that if you fix what she's complaining about, she'll go back to being the woman you fell in love with. But let me tell you this, no amount of perfection will ever be enough for someone whose heart is no longer in it, especially when she's already emotionally bonded with another man. You see, it's easier to tear you down than to admit she's losing interest. Easier to start arguments than to have a real conversation about her fading commitment. Constant criticism is rarely about growth. It's often a smokescreen for withdrawal. That's why she never points out solutions, only problems. That's why instead of coming closer, every fight pushes you further apart. And you start to question who you are. You start to forget that you're actually a good man. But let me remind you, love doesn't sound like contempt. It doesn't look like constant disapproval. A woman in love builds, even in conflict, she corrects with care. But when she's checked out, it feels like nothing you do is good enough anymore, because in her mind, someone else already is. So ask yourself this, when she criticizes you now, is it coming from a place of love or a place of disconnect? Is she guiding you closer and FFE, CTED away, but because they're overt VMERWHEALMEDSKED in harsh words? You'll know the answer by how small you feel in her presence. If her energy shrinks your spirit instead of lifting it, that's not love, that's the beginning of goodbye. And sometimes the truth shows up wearing the mask of her frustration. Pay attention. Let's talk about the body language that doesn't need an explanation. A woman's body, when she's in love with you, speaks before her words do. She leans in closer when you talk. She touches you softly, unconsciously, like muscle memory. She rests her hand on your knee while sitting, wraps her arms around you when you're not expecting it, and when she hugs you. She melts, her body welcomes you. It invites safety, intimacy, connection with no words needed. But when she starts to pull away physically, when her body no longer seeks you, don't ignore it. Because physical distance is never random, it's intentional. It's not rejection for the sake of being cold. It's usually the soft opening, the subtle exit to a heart and body no longer emotionally anchored to you. It starts small. You reach for her hand and she flinches a little or says, "Not now." You go to hug her and she tenses, like even your warmth is no longer welcome. She goes to bed before you, or worse, after you, to avoid the closeness. Sex, if it still happens, feels forced, like an obligation she's enduring rather than a mutual expression of love. And here's what no one tells you: it's not about the sex. It's about the absence of safe connection. The kind you used to share, the rhythm of two souls that once danced naturally in each other's arms, now out of sync. Deliberately, and I know what some of you might be thinking. Maybe she's tired, maybe she's stressed. Maybe it's just a phase, and yes, sometimes it is. Life can be exhausting. Mental health is real. Women go through seasons. But what I'm talking about, you'll feel the difference. This isn't about temporary exhaustion. This is about consistent withdrawal. When her body retreats regularly, when your presence becomes something she avoids instead of desires, that is not just life, that is a choice. The hardest part, she might still say, "I love you." She might still perform routines, cook dinner, send texts, watch Netflix next to you, but her body tells a story her mouth refuses to narrate. She might even get upset when you bring it up. You're overthinking, you're needy, but you're not. You're paying attention, real attention, and as a man, let me be clear, your need for physical closeness is not weak. It's not desperate, it's biological, emotional, spiritual, and the moment you feel her pulling away consistently, you have every right to ask why. Because true love doesn't withhold without explanation. It doesn't consistently back away from affection if nothing's wrong. If she's turning cold, if her skin doesn't respond to your touch like it used to, if your kisses feel one-sided, that's not just physical rejection, that's emotional closure. And here's the truth. Before most women cheat with their body, they've already cheated with their presence. They've given physical closeness to someone else in their mind, and slowly they stop letting you in. Watch her body. It'll always tell the truth her words hide. Let's talk about the voice no one else hears, the quiet one that's been whispering to you at 2 a.m., the one you try to silence, dismiss, distract yourself from, that feeling, that unnerving sense that something just isn't right. You don't have the proof, no screenshots, no confessions, no confrontations, but you feel it, and it haunts you. That, my brother, is your gut speaking, your intuition, and I know as a man, society has trained you to ignore it. To be logical, to analyze everything from the head and disregard the heart. But let me ask you, how many times have you known something deep down, only to regret it because you didn't trust that inner nudge? How many times has the truth walked up to you gently, dressed as a pattern, but because it didn't scream or shout, you walked right past it? When a woman begins to detach, to cheat either emotionally or physically, your gut will pick up on things long before your mind catches up. You'll notice the shift in her energy. You'll feel the way the room changes when she walks in. She might still say the right things, still go through the motions, still offer surface, level versions of love. But her spirit isn't connecting with yours anymore, and that disconnection, that gnawing discomfort in your chest, that is your soul trying to protect you from the heartbreak you're refusing to fully name. It's not always loud. It's not always explosive. Sometimes it's just a bunch of little whispers, the way she avoids eye contact, the strange new passwords, the moment she flinches when you ask a simple question, the coldness in her voice when you need her most. And you sit with it. You sit in silence, in confusion, in emotional paralysis, because you don't want to accuse her without proof. You don't want to seem irrational. You love her. You want to be wrong. But at what point do you give your intuition the same respect you give to other people's words? When do you stop gaslighting yourself in the name of optimism? Sometimes you don't need a smoking gun. You don't need a name or a message or a man to pop up in her DM. Sometimes all the clarity you need is in the stillness of your own knowing. Your gut is that sacred part of you where your spirit and your intelligence meet. It comes to protect you, not punish you. And when she pulls away, when something feels off, when the breaks in her story don't add up, when your soul loses its peace, you owe it to yourself to listen. Don't wait until the evidence crushes you. Don't wait until you catch her. Don't wait until love has drained you dry. If your gut is whispering, don't silence it. Lean in, because the truth doesn't always arrive in shouts. Sometimes it arrives in quiet instinct. And every time you ignore it, you're not saving the relationship, you're sacrificing yourself. And maybe the hardest part in all of this is not that she cheated. Not even that she walked away. It's that you saw it coming. You felt the shift. You noticed how her eyes stopped holding yours the same way. How her voice changed, not louder, not softer, colder. You caught yourself just staring at her, wondering where the woman you fell in love with went. And what hurts the most is knowing that you stayed long after she emotionally left, trying, holding on, dimming who you are in the hope that maybe, just maybe, she'd see you again. But here's the truth that too many men never get to hear. You are not broken. You are not unworthy. You are not hard to love. You were just loving someone who had already checked out, and you kept blaming yourself for the silence she created. You kept explaining away her distance, defending her coldness, giving grace to someone who stopped choosing you long ago. And brother, I need you to understand something right now, in this very moment, before you punish yourself any further. A woman who wants to leave will look for reasons. A woman who wants to stay will look for solutions. Let that sink in. Stop waiting for her to tell you the truth she tries so hard to hide. The silence speaks just as loud. Her body language is communication. Her energy is evidence. Your gut is guidance. So if something inside you has been whispering, she's not who she used to be, trust that voice. Don't let society silence your intuition just because you're a man. Honor it, listen to it, protect it, because you deserve honesty, you deserve loyalty, you deserve warmth that doesn't disappear when her attention drifts somewhere else. It's okay to let go of someone who already let go of you. And if this message found you at the right time, if something deep in your chest feels like this was exactly what I needed to hear, don't keep it to yourself like this video. Share it with the brother who's been suffering in silence. Drop a comment and tell your truth. You never know who your story might save. And if you haven't already, take a second to subscribe, because every man deserves to be seen, heard, and reminded that what he feels matters. You are not alone, and sometimes healing starts with hearing the thing you've been too afraid to admit out loud. Now take a deep breath and start choosing you.